like that coffee would
Make sure they have a designated
help you,
taxi.
not be drunk.
So please be safe and don't drink and drive. A message from me and all the little elves around the world.
Okay. 305.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVBF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
That sucks to hear that.
Time. Middleboro Matters on WVBF 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. Hosted by Joe Driscoll. Call in at 508-822-1106. And now, here is Joey Driscoll with Middleboro Matters.
Whoa, okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. That woke me up this morning. It is 11:08 a.m. this morning. It is Monday. And I don't know, that's the business line. I want to pick that up on the air.
Bill, how are you? It's Ron Lancaster.
Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, it is Monday morning. Middleboro Matters today. Today is the 15th of December.
Somebody might have had them. I didn't.
15th of December.
Somebody might have.
2025. Okay. And
could be.
Got a great show for you planned. Once again, we got our sports.
Okay.
We got our transportation.
Mention of it.
And much more.
Sure.
Sports, transportation, local events. So, and your phone calls, 508-822.
I'll check it right now, but if you don't, you can send it to my email.
508-822-1106 is the number to call if you want to call in, talk about what is on your mind this morning. We are going to talk about, during our sports segment, we are going to talk about the Patriots and that disappointing loss yesterday. It was a good game, though. It was a good game. They fought hard against the Bills and just could not get it done.
Oh, here we go.
They are still a game ahead.
It's been sent.
Of
I'm going to print it out and
the Bills.
We'll pass it along to people.
So there's still a game ahead of the Bills. So
yeah, no
panic yet. No panic yet for Patriots fans.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens. The one thing we did lose yesterday was the tie that we had with the Denver Broncos. There we go. The Denver Broncos, who were number one in the AFC, and all of the AFC.
What we'll do is,
and now they are number one in the AFC outright. As we lose, and they pick up a victory over the Green Bay Packers yesterday.
Print this out and we'll
so
pass it along and we'll let people know about it.
So we have that.
Okay.
Going on. But we'll talk more about the Patriots a little bit later on here on the program. Passing on a couple of things here. The Taunton Water Department will be connecting to a new water main necessitating, there we go, a temporary shutdown of Hamlin Street. That'll take place today. And it's underway right now, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. this afternoon, or this evening at this point. This will affect approximately 25 residences on Hamlin Street. Residents around the area may experience low pressure and discolored water. Any questions can be directed towards the Taunton Water Department. That is 508-821-1045. That's 508-821-1045. So that is going on right now. We'll be continuing until 5 p.m. this evening. I want to mention our blood drives. We have a couple more left here to end the year. We have Tuesday, December the 23rd at Temple Shalom, 239 Depot Street. That's in Southeaston, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for that blood drive. We have Monday, the 29th of December, Norton Public Library, 68 East Main Street in Norton, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. for that blood drive. That's it for the blood drives pretty much for 2025. When we get our January blood drives, we'll talk about those. That'll be probably do that next week. Probably start talking about that next week. On all these blood drives, they come from the Red Cross as well, the Red Cross website. So if you want to get more information about these blood drives, go to the Red Cross website there. Also, if you're unable to give blood at these events, there's always the options of the blood donation centers. There's one in Kingston and there's one in Rainham. We have a news story to talk about. Coraline Cronin's Family and Boys and Girls Club Metro South have announced a new partnership for 700 Christmas meals. Karen Reemsnyder, president of the Coraline Cronin Family Board of Directors, is thrilled to announce the Boys and Girls Club Metro South will be cooking turkeys for the expected 700 dinners to be delivered and picked up this Christmas Day, which again, 10 days away from Christmas. The Boys and Girls Club has been simply amazing putting this all together in less than 24 hours. We are proud to partner with the Cronin family as Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro South and the Blue Spoon Community Kitchen helps to provide nutritious meals to individuals and families facing food insecurity. Through this collaboration, we are not only addressing immediate hunger needs, but also strengthening our community by ensuring access to healthy, dignified meals for those who need them the most. Community kitchens play a vital role by serving as trusted hubs where resources, volunteers, and fresh food come together to create a sustainable long-term solution to hunger. That's Derek Heim, President and CEO, assuming they're of the Boys and Girls Club. Various other donors, those include James L. Mulcahy Elementary School, the City of Taunton, Taunton Triad, Walmart, First Citizens, Charitable Foundation, Inc., Mechanics Cooperative Bank, Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, New Bedford, Holy Ghost Society of East Taunton, Table Talk Pies of Worcester, Art's Bakery, Fratelli's Bakery, Vicky Wilbur, Mark Lincoln and family, John and Robin Martinelli, Edie Bailey, I believe that's how you say the name there, Sandra and Stephen Grundy, Mark and Barbara Pacheco, and others, as well as the many wonderful volunteers. Pickup of meals is between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Christmas Day at the James L. Mulcahy School, 28 Clifford Street. For those 65 and over in Taunton needing to have the meal delivered, please call the Taunton Council on Aging. That's 508-821-10. Let me start over. 508-821-1425. There we go. By the 15th, the 19th. There we go. I apologize again. The 19th of December. Raynham residents over 65, please call Raynham Council on Aging at 508-824-2740, and that's also by December the 19th. Those under 65 wanting meals delivered, please send a DM on Facebook to Caroline Cronin's family or call 774-218-8834 for those willing to volunteer for meal prep or to make deliveries. Can also DM on Facebook, the same Facebook page there, or again call the same number 774-218-8834. And for more information, the numbers for Karen Reemschneider is 508-801-3667 and Derek Heim 774-251-0523. There you go. That was given to us just a moment ago. I want to make sure that we talk about that. Very important information there as we approach Christmas. Christmas again, 10 days away, which means in the song, I believe this is the third day of Christmas. Yeah, I think so. If I'm wrong, let me know. Yes, I think so. Third day of Christmas. So, yeah, there we go. We do have football, by the way, circling to the sports real quick. During our sports segment, we'll talk about some football on Christmas because we have a couple of games on Christmas to talk about. So, speaking of sports, we're going to do that coming up right after this commercial break. Let's take our first commercial break of the hour. We'll be right back. If you want to call in, 508-822-1106. We'll be right back. Okay. Good. Thank you, Ron, for that.
Somewhere.
What?
Keep that press release in the PSA file.
Yes.
So I can refer to it tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you, Ron, and thank you, Bill Fitzgerald.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
All right.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the 12 Days of Christmas start with Christmas
Middleboro Gas and Electric will double check
and ends on January 6th. But I will look that up.
Oh, I thought
I could be wrong.
I thought it was
You could be right.
December 12th. Well, I mean, I see it as it starts on December 13th and ends on the 25th because that's technically 12 days before Christmas. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Call 811 before you do.
I'm wrong all the time. I don't know that for a fact.
Perfectly fine with me.
Hi, I'm Chris Keach of the Morning Wake Up News here at WBBM. My good friend Joey Driscoll has an amazing program all about Middleboro, Sunday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. It's called Middleboro in Review.
According to this, according to
She
Christianity.com.
talks about local events in
The 12
Middleboro.
Days of Christmas
Anything of interest in
signified the
Middleboro
time
and
between the
beyond.
birth of Christ and the arrival of
Join
the
him.
wise men.
Middleboro in
Imagine
Review with
Okay,
Joey Driscoll.
well,
it
Sunday
starts on
mornings,
December the
7 a.m. to 8
25th.
a.m. only here at
Christmas
AM
Day
1530
and lasts until
WBBM
January
and
6th,
at
which is Epiphany,
99.7
the Christian
FM.
faith, which is also referred to as Three Kings Day.
All right, well, I will make that correction then.
I hope so. People are waiting with bated breath.
They'd be like, why are you wrong on that?
It begs the question, why do you have breath that smells like bacon? Okay.
Okay, we're back. And I stand corrected on the 12 days of Christmas thing. We are in a countdown sense, in the 12 days of Christmas, but not in the song sense. As it goes in the song, it starts on Christmas. So again, I stand corrected on that. I apologize if anyone was like at their radio screaming at the radio saying, "You're wrong. You're wrong about the song." It starts on Christmas and ends on January the 6th. That's for the song for the 12 days of Christmas. And for a countdown sense of things, we are in within 12 days before Christmas. So, okay. Correcting myself on that. I wanted to make sure I corrected myself there. All right. So we have our sports. Get into some sports here. Start off with college football. The bowl games have begun for college football, and they were pretty entertaining. I would say. First off, you had the Celebration Bowl. That's what it's called there. And that was a very entertaining football game, the Celebration Bowl. That ended up being a really good game. The final for that one was 40 to 30, 40 to 38, and trying to get the teams who were involved in the winner. I had to look that up because apparently ESPN is not giving that to me for some reason. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, it was South Carolina State defeating Prairie View A&M, and what a game that was! I watched pretty much all of regulation. I didn't catch overtime because the Army-Navy game had started, and I was watching that. It was, and that was a fun, entertaining game. We'll get to that in a second. But this game was really good too. South Carolina A&M defeating Prairie View A&M. Did I say South Carolina A&M? I'm sorry. South Carolina State. South Carolina State defeating Prairie View A&M. There we go. It's going to be a lot of A&M and State and things like that over the next couple of weeks with teams. Anyway, 4 overtimes that took for them to get a winner in that game. Very good game to start off the bowl season. And then it's followed up by a stinker, a terrible football game. Which, that's the bowl games for you. You get a string of really, really good ones that go down to the wire, go to overtime, and then you get some really, really bad blowouts and some really bad games. And that was Boise State and Washington in a nutshell. Washington defeating Boise State 38-10. So, yeah, that was not a game at all, really, from the start. On Tuesday, we have one bowl game. That is the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. That is coming up on Tuesday. That's tomorrow at 9 p.m. It is 8-5 Troy taking on 8-5 Jacksonville State. And in the Army-Navy game, boy, what a game. I was watching it. What a game that was. And all the big figures in the political world were there. Biden was there. Trump was there. I believe Hegseth was there as well. I'm not sure. Tulsi Gabbard was there. A lot of people in the political world were there at that game, of course. And Robert F. Kennedy. We're going to talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. In a minute because he was at an event too. Just not this one. We'll talk about it in a second. We'll get to it. But yeah, it was an interesting game. Kamala Harris, apparently, according to my dad, was at the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta. I didn't see her on the. I guess they showed her briefly on the TV broadcast. I didn't see her, but I guess she was there at the Celebration Bowl, which we just talked about. Really entertaining game. I hope a lot of these bowl games this year are going to be entertaining. I really do. I hope a lot of these games are not going to be blowouts. I hope we get some really fun bowl games this year. Army-Navy was really, really good. It came down to the wire. Came down to a couple of plays there at the end. Navy picking up the win 17-16, which I liked that result. I'm a Navy fan. I liked that result. And I think that was a really good result for Navy. But we'll see what happens in the bowl games. I'll be rooting for both teams in the Fenway Bowl. I believe the Army is in the Fenway Bowl. I'll be rooting for both teams. I don't have a favorite in that one. I like UConn. I like Army in that game. And Navy's in a bowl game as well. I'm not sure who it's against off the top of my head. I have to look that up. But both of these teams will have one more game. They'll have bowl games. Both teams did very well this year, and we'll see what happens next year with these two teams. I think Navy There was a couple games down the stretch where if things had gone better for Navy, you might be talking about a college football playoff appearance for Navy. So I think Navy has a bright future with their football team. They really do. I think Army does as well. I think both sides have really bright futures with their football programs. All right, so we have the college football world here. College football playoff that begins at the end of this week. So that should be fun as well. Real quick updates on the Bruins and the Celtics. Bruins were defeated by the Wild yesterday, 6-2. Their next game is against the Utah Mammoth at home, 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. And then the Celtics, by the way, the Thunder lost. The Thunder finally lost. That drops them to 24-2 on the year. 24-2 on the year, but they lost in the semifinal of the NBA Cup. I don't think the Thunder are going to be too worried about not winning the NBA Cup. I don't think that's going to worry them too much. I think they are still front runners to win the actual trophy, which is the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June. So we'll see what happens there with the Thunder, but they are in a really good spot. The Celtics have probably one of their hardest games of the season tonight. They take on the Detroit Pistons. A couple of years ago, saying that the Detroit Pistons are a very hard team to face would be unimaginable. Now we're in a spot where the Detroit Pistons are very, very good. So, that's good that their rebuild, it seems like that was taking forever, is now starting to pay off for the Detroit Pistons. 20-5 on the year. So, the Celtics are going to have a hard time tonight. Very, very hard time tonight. They're at home, so that's positive. The game, I think you could see that on NBC Sports Boston, but it's also on Peacock. So that's interesting. The game's on Peacock. I don't know if I'll be watching it tonight on Peacock. If I do watch it, it'll be on NBC Sports Boston if I can find it on that, or on the radio. Anyway, that is it for the first half of the show. Again, we'll have a little bit more sports to get to. We got to talk about the Patriots. We got to talk about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and then we got to talk about WWE Saturday night's main event on Saturday, and we'll mention a couple of other extra things with that, as I alluded to a couple of minutes ago. 11:30. Let's take our news break. We'll be right back.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomas. Prosecutors in Los Angeles have charged 4 members.
Yeah, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was at Saturday night's main event.
In California. They investigated
That's
a homicide.
awesome.
The deaths of actor-director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. Their bodies were found in their Brentwood home in Los Angeles.
I think it's hilarious.
Source tells the AP.
And apparently Linda McMahon was there too.
Well, that's typical. That's not unusual.
Shooting in Australia.
Vince wasn't there, and Trump obviously wasn't there.
Yes, I was a little concerned that he might show up and not show up in Army Navy.
Killed Sunday after 2
Which
gunmen
means-
opened fire
Which
at
would
a
have been,
Hanukkah
look, put your
celebration
priorities in
on
order.
Sydney,
Trump was in Army
Australia's
Navy,
Bondi
yeah.
Beach.
Which is, I'm
Australian Prime Minister
glad he
Anthony
was there.
Albanese
Yeah.
is calling it an
That's
act
what
of
it should have been.
anti-Semitic
And so was
This is a
President
targeted
Biden,
attack
or
on Jewish
former President Biden.
Australians
Oh,
on the
Yes.
that I did not know until you mentioned that.
It should be a
And
day of joy,
according to
a celebration.
Dad,
At least
Harris
38
was
others
at
were injured in
Celebration
the attack. One gunman
That
was
makes
fatally
sense, too.
shot by police, and the second is under arrest in the hospital in critical condition. I'm Donna Warder.
Investigators probing the deadly weekend shooting at Brown University have now released a person of interest who they have been holding, saying the evidence is taking them, investigators, in a different direction.
I've been around long enough to know that sometimes you head in one direction and then you have to regroup and go in another. And that's exactly what has happened over the last 24 hours or so.
That's Rhode Island's Attorney General Peter Nerona, heard there on WCBV TV. 2 students were killed in the attack while 9 others were injured. On Wall Street, stocks are in the red this hour. The Dow is down 4 points. The Nasdaq off 66. The S&P 2 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
And I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family. But my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Got any gadgets? Get online protection. NordVPN has a ho-ho holiday deal just for you. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro feature helps you avoid malware, phishing, and annoying trackers. Just a few taps and you're safer online. Let your gadgets sparkle with online security. Go to NordVPN.com and get up to 77% off plus 3 extra months. NordVPN.
Jimmy Lai, the former Hong Kong media mogul and outspoken critic of Beijing, has been convicted in a landmark national security trial in the city's court. 3 government-vetted judges found Lai, who's 78 years old, guilty of conspiring with others to collude with foreign forces to endanger national security and conspiracy to publish seditious articles. He pleaded
I don't know if the Ravens can still make the playoffs. I think they can.
I think they're in the mix.
That was a good win for them. Yes, that was a good win for them yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
European leaders are expected to cement support for Ukraine as it faces Washington's pressure to swiftly accept a U.S.-brokered peace deal. After Sunday's talks in Berlin between U.S. envoys and Ukrainian President Zelensky, Ukrainian and European officials are set to meet later in the day today. News and analysis at townhall.com. Hamas confirms the death of a top commander in Gaza a day after Israel said that it had killed Raid Saad in a strike outside of Gaza City.
The Hamas statement describes Saad as the commander of its military manufacturing unit. Israel has described him as the architect of the October 7th, 2023 attack that sparked the war in Gaza and asserted that he had been, quote, engaged in rebuilding the terrorist organization in violation of the ceasefire that took effect 2 months ago. Israel said it killed Saad after an explosive device detonated and wounded 2 soldiers in the territory south. Bernie Bennett reporting.
New AP North poll finds this holiday season not quite so merry for American shoppers. Large shares of them are dipping into savings, scouring for bargains, and feeling like the overall economy is stuck in a rut. Vast majority of those surveyed say they've noticed higher than usual prices for groceries, electricity, and those holiday gifts. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, this is District Attorney Tom Quinn. My family and I would like to wish you a happy and healthy holiday season. Unfortunately, the holiday season also comes with some potential danger. That danger comes from drinking and driving. I urge everyone to please be responsible this holiday season. If you are going out with friends or family and alcohol is being consumed, please drink responsibly and please designate a sober driver or call a taxi. Don't let tragedy ruin your holiday celebrations. Drive safe and drive sober. Thank you.
All right, we're back here on Middleboro Matters. Today is the 15th of December, 2025. We're getting close to the end of the year. Got a couple of more days until Christmas, and a few days after that is New Year's, and we will be in 2026. All right, back to our sports. We got a couple more things with the sports that I want to talk about, and that's the NFL and then WWE. All right, with the NFL, this week was a very interesting week. We have a pretty interesting Monday Night Football game this week, I would say. I think this one's an important one, at least for the Steelers. I think this one's an important one for the Steelers. I mean, it could be for the Dolphins. I don't think the Dolphins are really in the playoff hunt right now. But, they're 6-7. And the Steelers are 7-6, so it'll be an interesting. It'll be an interesting game, and I think this is a big game for the Steelers, who I think are still in the playoff race. So it'll be a big one. We'll see what happens. That's tonight, 8:15 p.m. on ESPN. Some of these other games here, the Bears took care of business against the Browns, which I expected. The Bears are trying to get into the playoffs. That's going to help their case. The Ravens are trying to sneak into the playoffs, and yesterday's result, that's going to help their case, 24-0. And you know what? And after what happened to Mahomes and Parsons too, Micah Parsons. Which that's a shame that happened to Micah Parsons. His team is in the midst of a playoff push. The Packers, they did lose yesterday, but they could make the playoffs. I think they will. So losing Micah Parsons is not good for the Packers at all for their defense. But the Chiefs losing Mahomes for the year, and potentially even for the beginning of next year, depending on how bad this the ACL tear is, that's not good for the Chiefs either. I think this is going to be a very tough year for the Chiefs next year. Mahomes is losing one of his big targets, Travis Kelce. I mean, it's not confirmed he's retiring, but it's probably very likely this is his last year. It's probably very, very likely that this is Travis Kelce's final year. He wants to retire, probably. I'm sure he does. And settle down with Taylor Swift, who they'll be getting married at some point. I don't know the date. I haven't been following that. I don't follow that stuff. But yeah, I'm sure he wants to kind of end his football career and kind of settle down there. But it's going to be a tough year next year in 2026 for the Chiefs. Mahomes isn't getting any younger. The team kind of seems like it's at an impasse when it comes to some of their players. Again, losing Travis Kelce is not going to help if he does indeed retire. If he somehow decides not to retire, then hey, that helps a little bit. But again, I think he will be retiring at the end of the season. But this loss was a really big loss for the Chiefs. 16-13 against the Chargers. And again, you lose Mahomes to an ACL tear. I think the Bengals, you got to look at this game and be like, yeah, we gotta sit you down, Joe Burrow, for the rest of the season. We don't want the same thing to happen to you. I think the Bengals need to do that. I think this loss to the Ravens, they're done. They're done. They're now at double-digit losses for the year. They're not making the playoffs. Bengals, sit Joe Burrow down for the rest of the year. He's done. Sit him down. You don't want him to get hurt too. You don't want him to get hurt as well, because he was out most of the year. He was out most of the year. He just came back a couple weeks ago. You don't want him to go down again with another injury in a game that means basically nothing for your team. So this should be the last Joe Burrow game of the year. And the Bengals played horrible against the Ravens anyway. But again, this should be the last Burrow game of the season. Anyway, moving on to the Bills and the Patriots. Heartbreaking loss. We lose that tie with the AFC number 1 seed. So we drop down to the number 2 seed in the AFC. We're still a game ahead of the Bills. So I'm glad about that. I'm happy about that. But the Patriots, they got to get right back on the right track next week. This loss, just put it aside and move and march on to the next game. I believe the next game is against the Ravens. That's not going to be an easy game. The Ravens are on a playoff push. They're going to be a very difficult team to deal with, and the Patriots have to be ready. I think the Patriots will be ready, and that's going to be an entertaining game. That's going to be a very entertaining game. Eagles took care of business against the Raiders. Raiders, just fire Pete Carroll. Just do us a favor and fire Pete Carroll. Please. Just do everyone a favor and fire Pete Carroll. What a terrible year for the Raiders. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it... probably a mixture of both. Probably a mixture of the team just being terrible and Pete Carroll not being the coach he was a decade ago. But yeah, I think this should be a one and done for Pete. I really do. Jaguars did a good job against the Jets. Got a win. They were supposed to win. They did. 48-20. So that was good. Broncos defeated the Packers, as I alluded to earlier. The Broncos are now number 1 in the AFC. I believe they're number 1 in the entire league. I believe as well. I'm not sure. I think they are. Rams defeated the Lions. And then there's other games here. 49ers took care of business against the Titans. The Colts almost beat the Seahawks, which was very good, which was very interesting. Phillip Rivers played in that game. 99-year-old Phillip Rivers played in that game. But in all seriousness, he's 44, I believe it is. And he played very, very well in that game. He played very, very well in that game. So we'll see. We'll see what happens the rest of the year. I don't think the Colts, even if they make the playoffs, are going to go too far anyway. But it's fun to see Phillip Rivers back in the NFL, even if it's for a short amount of time. I think that's kind of cool. And the Cowboys disappointed again, as the Cowboys usually like to do to people. And, whatever, it's the Cowboys. They lost to the Vikings. So there you go. That's your NFL breakdown. Let's take our last commercial break right there. When we come back, we will do WWE Saturday Night Main Event, and then we've got a couple of other events we want to talk about here locally to end the show today. I don't know if we'll do the transportation topic today. I think we'll push that off until Friday. Really not a whole lot of new news to talk about with transportation, so we'll probably just push it off until Friday. As I talked about on Sunday, we had the MBTA Communities Act. There's a couple of developments on that. There's only one town here in this area that has yet to vote in the affirmative when it comes to the MBTA Communities Act, and that's Carver. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday and how that, to me and to Don as well, makes very little sense about Carver and the MBTA Communities Act and things like that. But we talked about that yesterday. There's really no new news. We don't have a date yet on the fare gates going into South Station. I haven't seen anything new on that front yet, but that's coming. That's coming very, very soon. The fare gates to South Station, which me and Don and I made our thoughts very clear on that as well. All right, let's take our last commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll finish up with the sports and do a couple of more other things as well. And your phone calls, 508-822-1106. We'll be right back. Was I too harsh on Pete Carroll?
Hi, neighbor. Middleboro Gas and Electric would like to share a quick safety tip with you.
He sucks.
Many people have been taking on home improvements this year.
See, there are
Have
certain
you also upgraded
coaches,
your electrical safety system?
you know,
Older
you're talking
homes,
about
like so
John
many in
Cena.
our area, have outdated
There are certain
breakers and
people that are
wires
nowhere to
that may
leave
not
the
meet the
stage.
high-powered needs of modern technology.
Pete is not one of
A
those
licensed
people.
electrician knows all the code
Bill
requirements,
Belichick doesn't seem to
including
be
the
one of those
latest
people.
updates adopted just last
No,
week.
he doesn't know.
Joe
You can
Gibbs,
find an easy-to-read
in
summary
his
of
last
home upgrades
appearance,
to
was
consider
not one of
at
those people.
nged.com.
Well, Joe Gibbs just went to another sport.
Hi,
But no, he came back for another run with the Redskins.
Yeah.
With the
My
Redskins
good
at
friend
the
Joey
time.
Driscoll
Yeah.
has an
And
amazing
wasn't
program
successful.
all
He's a Hall of Famer in 2 sports.
He is.
So,
Well, that's what made his last go round so disappointing.
yeah.
Because he was a Hall of Famer. I mean, the man took three different quarterbacks to Super Bowl victories.
Yeah.
Join him, Middleboro in Review with Joey Driscoll, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. only here at AM 1530 WVBF and at 99.7 FM.
236. And we are back here on Middleboro Matters. I am Joey Driscoll. Today is the 15th of December, 2025. So yesterday, not yesterday, Saturday was John Cena's last match. And what a night that was. That was a really fun, entertaining match. There we go. And that was fun. That was really, really fun. People are mad at the result. I mean, come on. John Cena, I think he booked it, number one. I think he said, this is what I want. This is what I want for my last match. I mean, he pretty much put. I feel like he pretty much put all this together. The entire pay-per-view. With the NXT involvement as well, the up and coming talent that was on there. I just thought it was an amazing pay-per-view, in my opinion. There was one match where it was like, why? Why did you have it happen like this? But I understand. I understand why they booked it like this. And that's the first match of the night. It was Cody Rhodes taking on Obafemi. Ended in a no contest. Drew McIntyre attacked Cody Rhodes. Okay, fine. They're furthering their feud down the road. It stinks a little bit because I wanted to see a winner in that match. I think a lot of people want to see a winner in that match. But I understand why they did it. They don't want Obafemi taking the pin. They don't want Cody Rhodes taking the pin. These two guys are held in very, very high regard within the company. It is very clear that Obafemi is going to be a star. Very, very clear. And Saturday night just made it even more clear that he is going to be a major star in the company in a few years' time. Cody Rhodes, he's the face of the company currently. You're not going to have him take the pin in a match, in a Saturday night main event match against an NXT star. You're really not going to do that. because he's the champion. He's the face of the company. So they had this happen. They had Drew McIntyre attack Cody Rhodes. The match ended in a no contest. And fine. Okay, I get it. Do I like it? No. But whatever. I get it. I get it. The rest of the matches, though, highly entertaining. Very fun. Highly entertaining. Sol Ruka gets a huge win over Bayley. Again, everyone, all the NXT people that came in to do Saturday Night Main Event on Saturday, the WWE clearly sees them as stars. Clearly sees them in very high regard, and they're going to have some really great futures in the future here in WWE. And Sol Ruka definitely one of them. Sol Ruka, great match against Bayley. Zario was there as well, who I think WWE sees as a star as well. It won't be too long until she breaks off and does her own thing and wins championships on NXT, and then gets called up and then wins championships on the main roster. Same thing with Sol Ruka. I think both of those stars are going to be stars. They're just going to be stars. And then the most entertaining match of the night was one of the most entertaining matches of the night. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee taking on Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Boy, those two guys are fun. Leon Slater and Javon Evans. Really high-flying match there. And they're really fun to watch. They're really fun to watch. Again, I think those two in the next couple of weeks, probably by the end of the year, maybe the first pay-per-view of the upcoming year, are probably going to win the NXT championships, the NXT tag team championships. I think those two are great. And Leon Slater is not even signed to WWE. They have a partnership with TNA. He's a TNA star. He is an X Division champion right now in TNA. And he's only 21 years old. And Javon Evans isn't that much older. Again, I think those two are going to be stars and faces of the wrestling world in the not too distant future. And then we had the main event. Some people are mad about this results. Again, I get it. This is John Cena's last match. John Cena, I'm sure he called the shots in this match. He said what he wanted, and that's what happened. John Cena wanted to lose his last match. It's going to happen. So, but it was a really good match. 23 minutes of just a classic match, honestly. Gunther is amazing. Gunther is, I feel like, going to be a future Hall of Famer. I think he is someone who WWE also holds a pretty high regard. Again, he retired Bill Goldberg earlier on in the year. I think that happened in July. Was it July or October? I don't know. It happened this year. Let's just say it happened this year. So, that happened earlier on this year. And then there's obviously some rumors that Gunther will retire Brock Lesnar. And I think that's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be an amazing match, actually. So Gunther, they see him as a really important part of the company. They really, really do. And John Cena, they showed after the match, after he tapped out. He tapped out, which Gunther said he was going to make him do, and that's what happened. He tapped out, and you can see like the emotion, in the match as well. And after the match, they showed a video package and things like that. And it was great. It was John Cena went out the way he wanted to go out, and I really enjoyed the pay-per-view. And people were booing. I don't understand. People were booing Triple H. Is he a perfect booker of the product? No. No one is. No one's the perfect wrestling booker. The word perfect and wrestling booker don't go together. That doesn't happen. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things as a wrestling booker that people hate. That goes for any company. Doesn't matter if it's WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, NWA. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a perfect booker of wrestling. And I think people need to realize that. I think this was a perfectly good pay-per-view. I really do. I think that match, Gunther and John Cena, was perfect. I really thought that was a great match. I mean, was it match of the year? I don't know. You could make that argument at in a couple of weeks when the year actually ends, because we still have a couple of more weeks. Still got one more pay-per-view. In AEW, you got a couple of more pay-per-views across wrestling as well before the end of the year. So match of the year could happen on those pay-per-views, but it's definitely up there as a match that I enjoyed this year. All right, so that's pretty much it for that. I also want to mention, I alluded to this earlier, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was there, which is that's interesting. That was interesting that he was there. It did happen in DC, so if anybody from the administration, Trump administration, or any other previous administration was a wrestling fan and wanted to go to this event, and they were in DC, and they happened to be in DC, well, there you go. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was there. I saw pictures of him. That was interesting. Anyway, also some other celebrities were there. Quavo, I think Vanessa Hudgens was there. I don't know if Post Malone was there. I don't know if I saw Post Malone, but there were a lot of celebrities there at this event, and also they did video packages. They had a bunch of people on those video packages when it comes to celebrities. Tom Brady, which was cool. That was really cool. Peyton Eli Manning, that was pretty cool too. And then a whole bunch of sports teams as well sent tweets out on X congratulating John Cena on his retirement as well. And some of them shared pictures of John Cena in their team's jerseys, which he did a ton in his career. Every time they would go to a new city, he would wear the city's team's jerseys, and that was cool as well. But thank you, John Cena, for your great WWE career. And that'll do it for today's program. But if everyone enjoyed today's program, I'll be back on Friday for another edition of Hometown Talk. We will have a representative from Middleboro Gas and Electric calling in, talking about all things Middleboro Gas and Electric in the winter. So we'll have that coming up this week. We also have a couple of other guests coming up here in the coming weeks that are being confirmed as well for the Friday shows coming up in the new year as well. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that as well. All right, it's 12:01 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for listening in today, and I'll be back on Friday for another edition of Hometown Talk. Until then, have a great week.
We are AM 1530, WBBS, and W250 59 DD, Middleboro Center, 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station.
Within another year, I think. Okay, I've got to make a call in a few minutes.
Okay.
So if you want to take off, go ahead and do so.
This is the Talking Information
Okay,
Center,
cool.
a window to
All right.
local volunteers, and books for your community.
Now available on your smart speaker by saying, play radio station, Talking Information Center.
Okay. Let's see. End stream. Yes. Come on. End.